more interesting. Let's unravel the mystery of the Veil of Veronica and its connection to the face of Christ. But before we get to that, make sure you take a second to subscribe so we can get to 1 million in the next 6 months. Now let's get to it. The story of Veronica's Veil is one of the most captivating legends in Christian tradition. As the tale goes, during Jesus' agonizing journey to Calvary, a compassionate woman named Veronica stepped forward from the crowd. Moved by Christ's suffering, she offered him her veil to wipe his face, which was covered in sweat, tears, and blood. When Jesus returned the cloth, something miraculous had occurred. His face was imprinted upon the fabric. This relic became known as the Veil of Veronica, and it's been the subject of fascination, devotion, and debate for centuries. But here's where things get really interesting. There isn't just one Veil of Veronica. There are actually 2 veils in Italy that claim to bear the face of Jesus Christ. One is kept under tight security in St. Peter's Basilica in Vatican City. It's only shown to the public once a year on the 5th Sunday of Lent from a balcony high above the crowds. The other veil is less well known, but no less intriguing. It's on permanent display in a small town called Manapeo, located in Italy's Abruzzo region. This veil sits behind the altar of the Basilica Shrine of the Holy Face, drawing pilgrims and researchers alike. Now, you might be wondering, how can there be 2 veils of Veronica? Well, that's just one of the many mysteries surrounding these fascinating artifacts. But as we'll see, the existence of multiple veils might actually help us uncover the truth about the face of Jesus. Let's focus on the Manapeo veil for a moment because it has some truly extraordinary characteristics. First of all, the material it's made from is unlike anything else in the world. It's crafted from byssus, also known as sea silk, a fabric produced by a specific type of Mediterranean mollusk. This material is incredibly rare and valuable. In ancient times, it was worth its weight in gold and was reserved for royalty. But what makes byssus really special is its optical properties. The fabric is semi-transparent and changes appearance depending on how light hits it. Now, here's where things get really strange. Scientists have studied the Manapeo veil extensively, and they've made a startling discovery. There's no trace of paint, ink, or pigment on the cloth. The image of the face seems to be a part of the fabric itself, as if it was somehow burned or imprinted onto the threads. But how is this possible? Could this be evidence of a miracle, or is there a scientific explanation that we haven't discovered yet? To answer that question, we need to bring another famous relic into the picture, the Shroud of Turin. Now, I know what you're thinking. Aren't we talking about the Veil of Veronica? Stay with me because this connection is crucial to understanding the bigger picture. The Shroud of Turin is a long linen cloth that bears the image of a man who appears to have been crucified. Many believe it to be the burial shroud of Jesus Christ. Like the Veil of Veronica, the shroud has been the subject of intense scientific study and debate. Here's where things get really interesting. When researchers compared the face on the Manapeo veil to the face on the Shroud of Turin, they made an astonishing discovery. The 2 images are nearly identical. In fact, if you superimpose one image over the other, they line up almost perfectly. But remember, these are 2 separate artifacts housed in different parts of Italy with different histories. How could they bear such similar images? To understand the significance of this discovery, we need to dive into the scientific analysis of these images. In 1978, a team of elite scientists conducted an extensive study of the Shroud of Turin. Their goal was to determine how the image on the shroud was formed. What they found was shocking. Like the Manapeo veil, there was no trace of paint, pigment, or any other artistic medium on the shroud. The scientists looked for everything, organic and inorganic compounds, varnish, dye, but found nothing. Even more baffling, they couldn't find any evidence of brush strokes or directionality in the image. In other words, whatever created this image, it wasn't a human artist. But that's not all. The image on the shroud contains 3-dimensional information. This means that when the grayscale of the image is inverted, it reveals depth and detail that shouldn't be possible in a 2-dimensional image. Scientists have been able to create a 3D model of the man in the shroud based on this information. It's a level of detail and complexity that goes far beyond what any medieval artist could have created. So, if these images weren't created by human hands, what could have formed them? This is where we enter the realm of speculation and theory. Some researchers believe that the images on both the shroud and the veil were created by a burst of energy at the moment of Christ's resurrection. This theory suggests that the intense light and heat imprinted Jesus' image into the fabric, much like a photograph. Others propose more mundane explanations, such as complex chemical reactions or unknown artistic techniques. However, these theories struggle to account for all the unusual properties of the images. What's clear is that these artifacts challenge our understanding of history, science, and faith. If the Shroud of Turin and Veil of Veronica are authentic, they would be the oldest known images of Jesus Christ. They would provide a direct link to a pivotal moment in history, offering a glimpse of what Jesus might have actually looked like. But the implications go beyond just historical curiosity. These artifacts raise profound questions about the nature of miracles, the limits of scientific understanding, and the intersection of faith and reason. The influence of these images extends far beyond scientific circles. The concept of the true face of Christ, stemming from the legend of Veronica's veil, has had a profound impact on Christian art and devotion. In the 12th and 13th centuries, depiction of Christ's face based on the Veil of Veronica began to circulate widely. This image became a standard in Christian iconography, influencing how artists portrayed Jesus for centuries to come. The devotion of the Holy Face, inspired by these relics, also became a significant part of Christian spirituality. Many believers saw contemplation of Christ's face as a powerful form of prayer and a way to deepen their faith. Interestingly, as artistic depictions of Jesus evolved over time, they maintained a striking similarity to the face on the shroud and the veil. It's as if these images served as a template, guiding artists' portrayals of Christ across different cultures and time periods. But what does all of this mean for our understanding of Jesus and early Christianity? The potential authenticity of the Shroud of Turin and the Veil of Veronica has far-reaching implications for both history and faith. If these artifacts are genuine, they would provide tangible evidence of Jesus' existence and crucifixion, corroborating the Gospel accounts. For believers, these relics offer a powerful connection to the faith. The idea that we might have an actual image of Jesus, created at the moment of his death or resurrection, is profoundly moving for many Christians. But even for non-believers, the scientific mysteries surrounding these artifacts are fascinating. They challenge our understanding of ancient technologies and imaging techniques. If these images weren't created by human hands, how did they come to be? The answer to this question could revolutionize multiple fields of study. Moreover, the study of these relics brings together experts from diverse fields: historians, art experts, physicists, chemists, and more. It's a remarkable example of how science and faith can interact, each informing and challenging the other. The investigation into the Veil of Veronica and the Shroud of Turin is far from over. Scientists continue to develop new techniques to study these artifacts, hoping to unlock more of their secrets. For instance, researchers are using advanced imaging technologies to examine the weave of the fabrics at the microscopic level. They're also employing sophisticated computer modeling to better understand how the image might have been formed. One intriguing area of study focuses on the unique properties of the byssus fabric used in the Veronica Veil. Scientists are exploring how this material interacts with light and whether its unusual characteristics could explain some of the image's mysterious properties. There's also ongoing work to better understand the three-dimensional information contained in the shroud's image. Researchers hope that by fully mapping this data, they might be able to create an even more accurate representation of the man in the shroud. As technology advances, who knows what new discoveries might be made? Perhaps we're on the cusp of definitively answering the questions surrounding these ancient artifacts. Despite all the research and evidence, it's important to note that the authenticity of these relics remains a subject of debate. Skeptics argue that the carbon dating of the shroud places its origin in the medieval period, long after Jesus' time. However, proponents counter that the sample used for the dating may have been from a repaired section of the shroud, not representative of the whole. The debate extends to the Veil of Veronica as well. Some scholars question the historical evidence for Veronica herself, noting that she doesn't appear in the canonical Gospels. Others point out that Veronica might be a symbolic name, derived from vera icon, meaning true image in Latin. These ongoing debates remind us that the intersection of faith, history, and science is often complex and contentious. While we may never have definitive proof, one way or the other, the pursuit of truth continues to drive research and spark fascinating discussions. Whether you're a believer or a skeptic, it's hard not to be intrigued by the mystery of the Veil of Veronica and the Shroud of Turin. These artifacts have captivated people for centuries, inspiring faith, challenging science, and sparking endless debate. For many, the possibility that we might have an actual image of Jesus is deeply moving. It brings a sense of connection to a pivotal moment in history and to a figure who has influenced billions of lives. For others, the scientific puzzles presented by these relics are endlessly fascinating. How were these images created? What can they tell us about ancient technologies and historical events? The questions seem to multiply with each new discovery. As we've explored the mysteries of the Veil of Veronica and its connection to the Shroud of Turin, we've only scratched the surface of this fascinating topic. The quest to understand these artifacts touches on some of the most fundamental questions of human existence, questions about life, death, faith, and the nature of reality itself. What's particularly striking is how these ancient relics continue to challenge our modern understanding of science and history. They remind us that there's still so much we don't know about our past and the world around us. In an age of rapid technological advancement, it's humbling to encounter mysteries that our most sophisticated tools and techniques still struggle to explain. Moreover, the story of these artifacts highlights the complex relationship between faith and science. Far from being at odds, we see how scientific inquiry can actually deepen our appreciation of religious traditions, while faith can inspire us to push the boundaries of scientific understanding. In the end, the true power of the Veil of Veronica and the Shroud of Turin may lie not in the answers they provide, but in the questions they inspire us to ask. They remind us that the greatest mysteries often lie hidden in plain sight, waiting for those with curious minds and open hearts to uncover them. If you made it all the way to this part in the video, you may qualify for our members area, so you might want to